I was someone who used to have a lot of anxiety around women. And when I focused on myself and when I focused on increasing my testosterone, specifically like aimed at destroying my anxieties, I used it as a tool to basically destroy my anxieties and make sure that I never had any issues again. And well, it worked for one. And number two, some of the experiences that you could be experiencing, some of the experiences that you're missing out on, genuinely, it's so worth taking the time to just focus on increasing your testosterone. And by doing that, you also get in shape, you improve your mental health, you improve your ability to handle stress and your ability to handle these situations that probably used to cause you a bit of like anxiety and stress and worry. I used to be so up in my own head with girls just in general, and like overthinking everything, and it would be so damaging to relationships, to my mental health, to basically it was just bad news. And when you start realizing actually that you are worth something, you realize that these issues like will never arise again. And specifically you realize that you're worth something by doing something worthy, by doing something like tripling your testosterone, by doing something like getting in shape, by doing something like working on something that gives you confidence. You're not confident just from nothing. You're confident because you have this proof behind you. And you can't really ever like not be confident again because you have this proof. Like it's a kind of flawless, idiot-proof method to gain confidence. And this method, if you want like the easiest fast track method, click the link in the description. That's a course to get you to that stage. But basically what we're going to talk about now is some of the things that I've experienced from increasing my testosterone, specifically with girls. I remember even the other week, it's probably related, but like indirectly, I was taking the bins out and I got wolf whistled by a girl. And that would have never happened before when I was just in that kind of like in my own head all the time. It's not like I made an interaction. I just put the bin in the bin bag. I just put the bin bag in the bin. But maybe the way I held myself, the way I walked, or you could see that physically like I was in good shape, maybe that contributed to it. And your anxiety is literally like, they never come back when you work on this. Anxieties, you need to understand, normally stem from some kind of like childhood trauma, but that's another topic completely. When you're with a girl or in a romantic situation, you need to be completely kind of not in your own head. You need to be completely present and completely kind of present in the situation. And when you are incredibly anxious or when you have this kind of self-destructing belief system, normally it's tied into like low testosterone, low drive, low masculinity kind of thing. But when you go about like a journey to say, for example, before you had low testosterone, after you managed to increase it, you kind of like increase every one of those factors. So you'll increase your self-esteem, you'll increase your confidence, you won't get anxiety. And this is the result that we want. This is the result where you can look back and you forget about your past self. This is what we want to be aiming for. And so when you get to that point, you never have to worry about any of your anxieties ever again. If I told younger me that I could have done that, I would have done it so quickly. I would have paid so much to get to that end result, to get to that part where all my anxieties were just ironed out and I wasn't thinking about things too much. Obviously, like sometimes you'll get things arise again, but you won't be the bit that you were before. Like for example, say if your past anxious self was like a 9 out of 10 on anxiety, so very high. We want to get to a point where we're like under a 4 or under a 3 so that we don't have to, it's just not a thing. And anxiety can be such like a destroying thing sometimes. And you're missing out on so many opportunities with girls, with just friends, just socially in general. You're missing out on so much when you're like in your own anxious brain and when you don't go about like working on it. And the only way to work on your anxiety, I promise you, the only way to work on it is by getting dramatic results in your testosterone. And when we do this, when we increase testosterone, it's not just like a arbitrary number. It's not just we're popping a pill to get this number up. There are so many other factors that play. There are so many other like things that feed into it. There's like your physical health, your mental health, your nutrition, your sleep, your like knowledge and your wisdom on beliefs or whatever. There's so many different things that feed into it. But if you want to increase your testosterone, every other area of your life has to improve. And this is, I promise you, the best way to get rid of anxiety, because I was struggling with anxiety since like I was 13. So I'm 21 now. So from like 13 till maybe 18, 19, I had it nonstop. And it got to the point so bad that at school when I was like 14, 15, and it was so bad, actually probably before 13, from when I was like 9 or 10. And at like 11 or 12 years old, I remember so clearly, I would have these, I would pop these pills, and they were basically designed to like block you up. And I was very anxious, and every time I was anxious, I would shit a lot. So this is nice information for you to picture. So every time I was anxious, I just shit runny poos, like diarrhea. And I would take these Imodiums, these pills that were designed to block you up, and I would have like 2 a day, and it would be really bad. It would feel like painful, like it makes you constipated basically. You're welcome for the nice imagery. But I would have these because I would have so much anxiety about, like my bowels basically, and just life in general. And I would have these to kind of like save me from that, like, I don't even know why, just the worry of like being nervous and then shitting somewhere. And so I had this anxiety. It would change different forms until about 18, 19. And I can tell you that when I went about tripling my testosterone last year, when I went through this journey, it was like such an obvious moment that why hadn't I done this before? And like, you can go through a body transformation, for example, and you can increase the way you look and feel a bit better about yourself, but and it might increase your testosterone, but that has nowhere near of the same effect as that if you go about simply wanting to get your testosterone as high as possible through means of like you're training your brain, training your belief systems, upping your nutrition. That has such a big effect than just focusing on getting a six-pack or whatever. Like, you don't just want to look good, you want to feel good and think good as well. So going about this is literally the best thing that you can do. And that's why I made the testosterone blueprint. You can find in the description. It basically gives you everything you need to know if you want to increase your testosterone and destroy all of your anxieties for good. And after you do this, you'll realize the night and day difference that you've been missing out on. You'll realize what you could have got earlier. Like, if you're like past your teens, or if you're like late in your teens and you struggle with anxiety, people will, like therapists and stuff, that's not going to work. It's not going to work. I promise you it's not going to work. It might feel good in the moment. It might feel good after that hour session's done. You feel like, I'm happy with myself. But the next day and the day after, you find yourself in that same rut again. And you might learn a bit more about yourself. But sometimes with men, the best type of action that's needed to get through this kind of anxiety rut is just pure fucking brute force. So that's all for now, and until next time.